So look, welcome to everybody here in BMA House and also to those of you joining us live via YouTube. I'm very, very excited to be here to talk to you all, to share Riviera's refined and significantly boosted approach to sustainability and environmental and social matters. This is something that has always been a topic that we've cared very deeply about at Riviera. And actually, over the years, I'm proud to say we have actually made some pretty decent progress. But since now finally emerging from COVID and the pandemic, we've committed as a Riviera team to adjust our approach and to really redouble our efforts. So in many ways, we've invited you along, I guess, to formally mark the start of the next phase of this journey. We've got a clear idea of where we want to get to, and we've got some of the how. We've given our approach, as you'll hear, the snappy name of Riviera's Doing the Right Thing plan. But very importantly, to stress, I'm not standing here tonight, we're not standing here tonight saying that we have got all of the answers on this. Far, far from it. And we're definitely not claiming to be the best in category. We're going to be doing a lot of learning along the way, but what we do want to do is we want to be open with you all, with our team, with our partners, suppliers, with our customers. And we want to share the learning process, and we want to share the progress that we make on that journey. So just in terms of the agenda this evening, in a second I'm going to hand over to a couple of my colleagues to outline the plans we've got and the objectives we're setting. I'm also delighted to say we've got a couple of really important partners with us. We've got an organization called eCollective who have measured our carbon footprint and are going to hold us to account going forward as we strive to reduce that. And also some team members from Practical Action, our new charity partner. So more from both of those very, very shortly. We'll talk to you for maximum, I think, about half an hour or so. And then, as I say, there'll be a chance for some questions. And for those of you in the room, the opportunity for a quick drink and some canapes. So just before I do hand over to Will and Sarah, a couple more introductory thoughts from me. As you'll see, there are several topics within our Doing the Right Thing plan. But the most important of those, you won't be surprised to hear, relates to sustainability and environment and our carbon footprint. We are a travel business, and we develop, sell, and deliver holidays. We take people away. And we're very proud of that, but we do recognize that that is clearly a difficult thing to do in a way which has a positive impact on the environment. This, therefore, is a challenging topic for anybody in the travel sector. But that doesn't make it any less important. On the contrary, the onus is absolutely on us, beholden on all of us, with our customers' help, to do everything we possibly can to minimize any negative impact and to maximize any positive impact that we can take. And what I can definitely say is that the Riviera team as a whole is extremely excited by our Doing the Right Thing plan and the commitments we're making as part of that. It's a long-term plan. It has to be, of course. But it's a plan that we do intend to implement fully and to further strengthen as we go forwards, and where we identify opportunities to change and to improve that plan, we intend to take those. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Will first and foremost.
Thank you very much. So, doing the right thing. Where do you even begin with that? It's such a big area. There's so many important things. Trying to narrow it down to things that we can actually do, things that are actionable. That was the first challenge that we had. We wanted to make sure that we were doing things that we really felt we could be impactful and making a meaningful difference. So we narrowed it down to 4 key pillars that make up our Doing the Right Thing strategy. So the first pillar is sustainability. So our aim with sustainability is to halve our business use of paper and plastics. So that goes for head office and on our ships and on our holidays as well. The next area is carbon footprint. So now that we know, with eCollective's help, what our carbon footprint is, we can start to work out what our carbon footprint can be going forward. And it's our aim to reduce our carbon footprint by 20% over the next 5 years. Then it comes to operating ethically. Now, this is about more than just our holidays. This is about people. So we want to make sure that we set in high standards for both ourselves and the people that we work with who are helping to deliver our holidays. And finally, charity. Now, we've always been a fairly charitable business. We've worked with a charity called Hope and Homes for Children for over a decade. We've donated over £1 million to Hope and Homes for Children. So we wanted to use this Doing the Right Thing plan as a catalyst for the next stage of our charitable journey. So we want to make a meaningful contribution to a charity that we really believe in and aligns with our business. So to talk about some of these aspects, I'm first going to hand over to Sarah.
Thank you, Will. So sustainability, it's a big topic. And I think it's very clear to say that, it's not something that you can distill down into just one facet. We know it covers a multitude of areas. But it was very important for us to be able to create a sort of clearly defined goal in this space as a business that we could get behind and measure our progress against as well. And that's why our ambition in this area is to halve our use of paper and plastics as a business by 2025. That's quite a punchy target, but we've got a number of actions that we think will get us there in that time and perhaps even exceed this goal. The first of which, to develop a solution that we can offer digital travel documents to our customers. Currently, all of our travel documents are paper-based and they're printed and posted. But by transitioning to e-docs as our default solution, we believe it will be better for our customers as well as better for the planet. It will put them in control of how and when they receive their documents, and we believe that this will reduce our paper documents by more than 90% when we introduce this option. Secondly, we will focus on developing an enhanced digital brochure and website. We currently print hundreds of thousands of brochures each year. And while we recognize that a paper brochure is still very important as part of that research and purchase journey for many of our customers and also for our travel agent partners, if we focus on enhancing our digital experience, both the brochure and the website, making it more interactive with richer content, then we think that we can encourage people to use principally the digital journey for that research and purchase part of their kind of holiday buying process, and that will reduce the reliance on our paper brochures. Thirdly, to reduce the amount of paper that we're using for brochures and for mailing pieces, we're going to be focusing very closely on content, reviewing content to minimize wastage, and also looking at who we're sending those pieces to minimize any wastage in the amount of mailing pieces that we're sending out. And lastly, we're also going to look to replace the plastic luggage tags that we send out to each customer with their booking with quality reusable luggage tags that we send out once and can be used again and again, and really, kind of enjoyed by our customers as a quality sort of piece of merchandise. But whilst we believe that these changes will be very popular with our guests and will make a significant positive difference to our use of paper and plastics as a business, and will be welcomed by most of our guests and the agent partners that we work with, we also recognise that some of our customers still prefer, for a variety of reasons, printed materials for their paper documents and also in their brochures. So we're not planning to remove these from the offer to our customers. If they want a paper brochure, if they want printed documents, we will continue to support that and provide that service. And now I'm going to hand over to Charlie, who's going to talk to us a bit about our process for carbon rating and the work that we've done with eCollective.
Thank you. Hey everyone, I'm Charlie. I work at eCollective, and we measure the carbon footprint of travel companies. We work with them, Riviera, this year to measure the total carbon footprint of their company. And that should include everything. So we're talking about the office, working from home emissions, but mainly the big things. The trips that they sell, and that would include all the things from activities on day 2 to meals on day 5 to hotel on day 7 or the cruise itself, as well as how on earth are the customers getting to the trip? What's the carbon footprint of that journey too? And if we add all of that together for 2022, we get a score of 72 million kilograms of CO2. And actually, it kind of doesn't really lead us onto that well onto the next question, which is, oh, how can we change and influence that in the next year to make it a better result? So what we do is we take that 72 million kilograms and we divide it by the number of customer nights we had in 2022. And it gives us this score here of 154. And this is the number I'd love everyone in Riviera to start getting geeky about, like plaster it, headline and center in the office to say, this is the score we are aiming to lower and lower and lower year on year on year. And essentially what it's saying is, how can you create trips that come with a smaller carbon footprint year on year on year, but still bring the same amount of joy and excitement and work for the business at the same time? To give it a bit of context, because I'm sure you're all looking at it now thinking, good, bad, what the hell does it all mean? So if we wanted to compare it to kind of other things in the tourism industry, perhaps Antarctic cruise with business class flights down to Argentina would have a score of about 600 kilograms of CO2 per person per night. And then maybe on the other scale of things, if you're doing kind of a UK trip with camping, you can bring that score all the way down to 20. But don't want the kind of actions to be like, who's the best, who's the worst, how do we compare? The focus should now be on Riviera, just saying, how can we improve ourselves? How do we bring this score 154 down year on year on year, with the caveat, it's got to work for the customer, and obviously it's got to work for the business too. So the way that we're going to try and make that happen is to get really geeky with the data to say, where are those opportunities for reductions? What changes can be made on trips? Even going to the level of detail of, well, if we're looking at the activity on day 4, we've got a really cool adventure going on a rib ride down the river. Perhaps if we change that to an e-bike tour, what is the carbon difference of those two options there? And then it's up to the Riviera team and their expertise to decide, yeah, that's actually going to make the adventure better, or perhaps no, let's hold off on that because there are other areas we can focus on, which is what Sarah is going to talk about later when it comes to what are those next steps in reduction. Obviously, all of this work is to try and solve this thing that we all want in the world in the future to have. How do we have really cool adventures around the world that just come with a smaller and smaller footprint? How do we redesign travel so it just brings benefits to local communities, are enjoying for people to go on, but just don't have that carbon footprint in the same time? So year on year, that 154 will slowly come down. As Phil mentioned, it will be a long journey, but the aim is to start now because we really need progress rather than perfection when it comes to carbon, because there's a bit of a ticking clock in the background. And then in terms of my relationship that I have with Riviera, it's kind of a very collaborative approach. It is my job year on year to get better at what I do, which is measuring the carbon footprint of the company. So if we take those scores now you see there, they're probably about 90% or so accuracy, and I'll be up to me next year to bring it up to 92% to get geeky and geekier. Maybe next year we look at what is the carbon footprint of that meal on day 4. Was it a lasagna or was it something else? And what is the level of detail we're going to go to on that? I then use that data and give it over to the Riviera team for them to decide how are they most effectively going to reduce it. Are they going to look at the lasagna on day 3, or are they going to look at somewhere else? Because they can now see all of these different options they have available. If you change from option A to option B, what kind of impact it has on the score. And I hope this will go on for a long time. It will be very much a team effort of getting better with the numbers and then using that to drive action and then seeing how they perform year on year on year. And so we're seeing the footprint on average come down. And if I move on to my last slide, so I could talk about this for ages, by the way. If anyone has any questions, I'll be at the back after this because I could talk for like hours and hours and hours. And these few slides don't really give too much justice to the level of detail we've gone to on the side when it comes to the carbon footprint of every single trip that they have. But I wanted to give a snapshot of an example of the work that we do. So if we just look at HQ itself, so this is kind of like the UK footprint to some degree, the employee footprint of Riviera. We look at this and try and use these numbers to try and see where should action happen. When we're in a race against time to reduce emissions, where can your action have the biggest impact? And we start to see this here. So perhaps making changes on the website, not the best area of use of your time because you're not going to really change the company footprint by changing that overnight. But brochures and other areas of the business are where you're going to look for. And then obviously the trips itself, which is a much bigger footprint compared to HU. So the devil really is in the detail, and that's what we'll be trying to do, getting better at that measurements and then helping use those numbers and those ratings and all those different things that we've got now at our fingertips to help them make change. That's it for me. I'm going to hand over to Sarah.
So as Charlie's explained, we've gone through a pretty lengthy process to rate our carbon footprint, and we've now got lots and lots of data to help us understand what's having the biggest impact across our business on that. But so what? Understanding our current rating is really just a starting point that we can then measure our progress against. And our goal in this space, as Will mentioned, is to reduce our carbon footprint by 20% within the next 5 years. And that is measured on a per customer, per night basis. And also we'll be individually measuring it across our different holiday categories, because inevitably a 2-week holiday to Japan has a much larger carbon footprint than a short break to Paris. So we'll be looking at it separately across our different holiday categories. And we will also be working with eCollective to measure our progress each year and identify additional areas of opportunity to reduce our footprint over time. But why have we given ourselves a 5-year target? Well, the reason for that is because many of the changes that will be required to make a significant reduction in our carbon footprint will take some time. We already have holidays on sale right up to 2025 at the moment, so we can't make all of these changes quickly. And so by setting ourselves a 5-year goal, it means that we can be realistic, but also ambitious at the same time in what we want to achieve with our carbon reduction. But that doesn't mean there aren't changes that we can make in the short to medium term as well. And this isn't exhaustive by any means, but just to give a flavor of some of the things that we're going to be looking at, we're going to be designing new holidays and new itineraries with carbon minimization in mind. We'll be increasing rail travel options on our existing holidays. Already for 2024, we introduced 2 brand new rail holidays to Europe and 6 rail options onto existing tours, taking our total rail holidays to 37. We plan to increase this further over the coming years. We'll be prioritizing airlines and hotels that have net zero strategies in place. And on our ships, we'll be looking to increase the number of vegetarian and vegan options available at mealtimes. Again, we do have vegetarian options always, but we'll be looking to increase the number and the choice available to not force, but encourage and give more opportunity for people to make greener choices and our customers to make those choices about the meals that they want to eat. And lastly, also looking at switching our head office energy supply to renewable sources. And then longer term, what are the big things that we're going to be looking at that are really going to get us towards that 20% reduction? Well, using greener energy sources on our river cruise ships is, a very kind of key one. And also having new ships, or converting our existing ships to gold standard in the Green Awards. And we'll be working with our shipping partners on a plan that helps us to achieve that within our 5-year goal. We'll be looking at restructuring existing holiday itineraries to minimize internal flights and coach travel. And also ensuring that all of our suppliers and partners that we work with have net zero strategies and meaningful commitments in place to reduce their carbon footprint. Now I'm going to hand back to Will, who's going to talk about our plan to operate more ethically.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, operating ethically, it's mostly about people. And before we start asking anyone to change the way they do things, I think the most important thing is to make sure that we're doing things right ourselves first at our head office. So we want to make sure that we've got a fair, inclusive, and enriching work environment for all our people at our head office. Now, we've already started doing various things to help with that. One of the most notable things is that we've been running Get Riviera Talking sessions. Now, these are open forums where people can talk about the things that are on their mind. We've had subjects such as mental health, LGBTQ+ issues, neurodivergence, and the menopause. So they're great sessions for people to talk about what's on their mind, but more importantly, for other people to listen. So they've been a really big hit. And off the back of that, we're going to be launching next month our very first diversity and inclusivity workshops, which are going to be available for all of our staff. Another thing we're doing at head office is making sure that everyone has got access to volunteering opportunities in the local community, which is a really great way to make sure that we're giving back to the area that we work in. Now, the second thing we've got on our how is making sure that our suppliers' ways of working are aligned with ours. So how are we going to do that? Now, ABTA did some absolutely fantastic work with their Travel for Good work, and we use that as the cornerstone for creating our very own supplier ethics policy. Now, this covers topics such as human rights, animal welfare, labor conditions, and many, many more things. And we're going to ask all of our suppliers to sign up to agree to those elements that are in there so that ourselves and our customers can see that we are an ethical company to go on holiday with. And finally, linking back to the work that we've already talked about sustainability, we want to make sure that our hotel partners have got similar aims to us. So we put a framework in place to make sure that we can understand where they're at with their green credentials, encourage progress, and hopefully one day we'll be in a position where we can report that back to customers so that they can make informed decisions about which hotels or ships they want to travel with us on. So all really, really important things. Sometimes some of these things are a little bit more in the background, which makes them even more important to talk about and make sure that we're doing right. So our fourth and final pillar is charity. So as I've already mentioned, we've always been a fairly charitable company. We've always had a charity partner. But we've used this doing the right thing plan to just take stock and think about what we want to do with our charity partners going forward. We wanted to make sure that we were working with someone that's aligned with our business in general, but all of the other things that we've spoken about here today. So we did a lot of work looking at different charities and understanding what they did and how we can work with them. And I'm absolutely delighted to say that we've selected Practical Action as our primary charity partner going forward. So we're going to be donating £1 for every passenger that books with us to Practical Action. And over the course of each year, we hope that will be at least £100,000. So to hear about what Practical Action do and the project specifically that we're going to be supporting, I'd like to pass over to Lucy.
Hi, so today marks the beginning of a journey that combines the spirit of adventure with the power of compassion as we launch our inspiring partnership between Riviera Travel and Practical Action, a global development organization with a vision for a world that works better for everyone. The global climate and environmental crisis threatens the progress that has been made on reducing poverty. Depleted soil and drought are destroying crops. Catastrophic flooding is bringing disaster. Plastic pollution is devastating rivers and cities. Unchecked, unhygienic waste spreads disease and environmental damage. Lives and livelihoods are under threat around the world, and the world's poorest people are paying the price. But at Practical Action, we are finding and innovating real-world practical solutions that can last and grow. Practical Action was founded 60 years ago by the radical economist E.F. Schumacher, a pioneer of his time. He believed that the economy should be built around people, not goods. So 6 decades of experience tells us that for people living in poverty, hope for the future is hard won. It needs courage, collaboration, ingenuity, and expertise. But above all, hope needs action. So today, we're launching a special partnership with Riviera Travel that reminds us the incredible impact that we can achieve when we combine for a common purpose. Riviera Travel, as we've said, is generously donating £1 for every booking made. And over the next 2 years, we'll use that money to support and fund plastic collection and recycling initiatives in Kenya, with other options for supporting our work on waste and recycling beyond that. Our shared vision over those 2 years is to address the pressing issue of plastic waste in Kisumu City with the purpose of reducing the amount of plastic that reaches Lake Victoria, while simultaneously cleaning up neighborhoods, for people, empowering informal waste workers and changing attitudes to recycling. So Kisumu, it's home to around 500,000 people in the west, on the western side of Kenya, on the shores of Lake Victoria. Communities in the poorer settlements have told us of their concerns for the waste that's dumped in their neighborhoods and in particular in rivers that flow through their neighborhoods. This particular river algae waste gets dumped there, and it flows along, carries along through the settlements. People say it carries everything that can be described as waste: plastic, organic, sanitary pads, dead animals. They call it pathetic disaster. The people along the river suffer with all kinds of problems: rodents, flies, mosquitoes, terrible smells. And there are other dumping spots too. And when the river floods, which it does occasionally, the waste spreads out to the surrounding compounds and into people's homes. And the impacts reach Lake Victoria too. The lake is Africa's largest freshwater lake and the main source of the longest branch of the Nile. Rangers around the lake who have dived it report a heavy burden of sludge which contains lots of plastic and discarded fishing nets and so on, primarily plastics, and low oxygen levels in the lake, which are really destroying the lake's ecosystem. So what are we going to do? And what does some of this look like, but also some of what we can do and some of the people? There's a short 90 seconds of video which will just help to bring some of this to life. So, yeah.
Na majirani, umejua mwingine anaweza kuja anamwaga takataka tu, na hapa tulikuwa tuna manage tu kidogo kidogo kama wenye wanaishi karibu na takataka, mimi na huyu jirani, kufagia na kuchoma choma.
I want to believe that this model will just revolutionize the waste sector, because through that project, we will be able to turn the perception about waste into something positive.
My family joke with me that I go to all these exciting places and go and see all the worst spots. So, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be like this. We've got 4 exciting objectives that we will be doing with this support. The first one is that we aim to reduce the number and extent of waste hotspots that are within the community by linking with community organizations that are cleaning up the rivers and connecting informal waste collectors and separators with existing aggregators and waste traders and processors that can improve the efficiency and coverage of waste collection services and the efficiency of cleanups. The city authorities, as we've seen, are really keen to switch their waste strategies from a collect and dump strategy that doesn't reach everyone to more circular systems, but they do lack the resources and they need the partnerships. Currently, the recycling that happens means that the collection that happens means that plastics are mixed up with other rubbish. And the recycling that does happen is mostly done, almost entirely done through informal waste pickers and collectors like Gabriel, who we saw in the film. But the volumes of waste that they currently collect are small and the prices they receive are low because the plastic has not been well separated and it's mixed up with other waste. So we'll be boosting the collection services for households and encouraging simple separation of waste at household levels, with the aim of, with our second aim, which is to improve the pay and conditions for 50 to 100 informal waste pickers and collectors. And thirdly, with them, and through behaviour change around recycling at household level, leading to around 67 tonnes of plastic a year being saved from the environment, of which around 33% will be effectively recycled. To magnify the impact of this work, we're also going to create and create lasting change, we'll also link with the National Kenya Plastics Pact, which brings companies together and provides those decision makers with feedback from the informal waste collectors we'll be working with about better design of plastic products to be able to boost recycling rates and increase the income for collectors. The pact is aligned with 11 others globally, including in the UK, which work towards a circular economy for plastics. This will help reduce the amount of plastic packaging entering the waste system nationally in the long term, and by providing more feedback as well, really from the ground up, from the people who are dealing with this stuff on a day-to-day basis. It will all help ensure that contributions are connected to larger and longer term processes so that big change can start small. So this partnership represents a fusion of compassion and adventure, where the wanderlust of travelers meets the profound desire to make a meaningful difference in the world. It's a testament to the idea that the travel experience can extend beyond just sightseeing and exploration. It can be a force for good. So to the dedicated team at Riviera Travel, we extend our gratitude for your vision and your commitment and your belief in the transformative power of this initiative. Riviera Travel and its customers will be instrumental in improving the environment and the health of a whole community. It will create jobs, increase incomes, change behavior and attitudes around recycling. We will be sharing stories along the way as we work with the people like Gabriel and Lucy, who you saw in the film. And the legacy of this partnership will go beyond this individual project and contribute to permanently reducing plastic waste pollution in Kenya's rivers and lakes and create lasting change. So thanks for joining us as we launch this exciting new partnership. So back to you, Phil.
Thank you, Lucy. Now that brings us to the end of the formal part of the excuse me, of the presentation for this evening. So huge thank you to Will and Sarah, and in particular to Charlie and to Lucy. You're very, very inspiring stuff. And for everybody who did join us online, thank you all wholeheartedly for taking the time and for your support. And if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask, it would suggest, well, two ways. One is just put them into the chat questions alongside the YouTube video link, or you can always just email us at the customer service address as usual, and we'll endeavour to get back to you on those. So thank you very much indeed, and good night to people on YouTube. Thank you.